Good everyone, thanks for joining me. My name's Nichols. Today I'm going to talk about the book When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. I'll never get their name right probably. My favourite book, I think the most important book I've ever read on being mortal. So Paul Kalanithi, as everybody knows, so I don't think I'm spoiling it, is a neurosurgeon who ended up contracting cancer. And he writes so beautifully. So poignantly, and so technically correct. It's just an incredible book. So, at age 36, I had reached the mountaintop. I could see the promised land from Gilead to Jericho to the Mediterranean Sea. So, at age 36, I had reached the mountaintop. I could see the promised land from Gilead to Jericho to the Mediterranean Sea. I think he's talking about Moses there, right? I think he's talking about it in biblical reference. So this is when he's got, I think most of the way through his residency, or he's done some neurosurgical training and you see the end of it. Back to the book. I could see a nice catamaran on that sea that Lucy, our hypothetical children, and I would take out on weekends. I could see the tension in my back unwinding as my work schedule eased and my life became more manageable. So he's developing back pain. And, he thinks it could be related to something bad, but he's not sure. I could see myself finally becoming the husband I promised to be, because again, their marriage isn't going particularly well at that point. Then, a few weeks later, I began having bouts of severe chest pain. Had I bumped something at work, cracked a rib somehow. Some nights I'd wake up on soaked sheets, dripping sweat. My weight began dropping again more rapidly now, from 175 to 145 pounds. I had developed a persistent cough. Little doubt remained. One Saturday afternoon, Lucy and I were lying in the sun in Dolores Park in San Francisco, waiting to meet her sister. She glimpsed my phone screen, which displayed medical database search results. Frequency of cancers in 32, 40-year-olds. What, she said, I didn't realize you were actually worried about this. I didn't respond. I didn't know what to say. Do you want to tell me about it? She asked. She was upset because she had been worried about it too. She was upset because I wasn't talking to her about it. She was upset because I promised her one life and given her another. Can you please tell me why you aren't confiding in me, she asked. I turned off my phone. Let's get some ice cream, I said. So there's an interesting moment there, and it's a poignant moment because that's the moment before he realizes that he's sick. And he's sort of struggling with this uncertainty. And he's a man he is. He still has his identity and nothing's changed yet. It's still, the idea of having cancer is still just kind of an abstract thought. At this point, he's just uncomfortable. But he hasn't really made that transition yet to being the person that he would eventually be on the other side. And it's such an interesting point. So he says he's reached the promised land. And then it's such a counterpoint because he's reached the promised land and then he suddenly has this chest pain and he's like, and starts losing a lot of weight. He no longer ignores his symptoms. And it's one of those things about how life is just so unfair. So he's about 36, I think, at that point. And, he's given everything to be a neurosurgeon. He's at the top of his game. He deserves, he's given. If life was about the idea, if life was fair and that you got out of it what you put into it, then he would obviously be successful and have his happy family and live happily ever after. But life isn't fair. And for whatever reason, Paul's contribution to our world isn't just his neuroscience or his neurosurgery. It's this amazing book that he's written. And that's, I think, why it's really important for us to read books like this and understand them, because to some extent I feel like Paul's book is unfinished. It's finished, but it's sort of unfinished. It's like he gave us this gift and this burden of responsibility. He allowed us to see the world in this beautiful, poetic way, but also understand that, that you can't waste any moment of time. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Well, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.